All right, Carano, I have to admit something on this Monday morning. I know it's stuff. I know you're going to find this hard to believe, but I'm getting a little annoyed at our 46th president. I'm getting a little annoyed at sleepy Joe Biden. I know that's hard to believe, but it's starting to piss me off. It is starting to piss me off. This guy surrendered to the Taliban. We went over that for the last 2 weeks. The guy handed the Taliban $85 billion in advanced U.S. weaponry and machine guns and pistols. I will get to that for sure. We're going to get to that accounting because it is the single worst specific thing a U.S. president has ever done. Obviously, he got 13 heroic U.S. servicemen and women, Marines, a Navy corpsman, an Army guy, killed outside the airport, left them vulnerable. They got killed by a jihadist. No surprise there. Five of the 13 were 20. There's this little tribute going around the country at bars where they set up 13 beers in kind of a formation with a little note saying in memory of our fallen servicemen. It's pretty cool. I like it, but it's amazing that 5 of the dead could not sit there and have a beer. They weren't old enough. They never had a beer legally because Joe Biden put them in harm's way for no good reason and got them killed. Then he went to the to Dover Air Force Base for the dignified transfer. But I think he had other plans because he was checking his watch during the ceremony, which is amazing. And I realize he's not all there. He's got his issues cognitively. But looking at your watch when you know not only is there a camera on you, but you're sitting there with the grieving mothers and fathers of these 20-year-olds that you got killed. But I'm going to tell you what's really setting me off today is he goes to FEMA to do some photo op about the weather, about the storm in New Orleans, and that's no laughing matter. But then he says, I'll take some questions. And he's upset that someone asks about Afghanistan and not about the weather. You're the commander in chief. You're the leader of the free world. These 13 people are dead because of a really boneheaded decision you made. Afghanistan essentially, or at least the airport area, is in chaos now. American citizens holding American passports can't get to the airport or can't get to a plane because the Taliban has taken over the airport. And soon we're going to see them flying Black Hawk helicopters and using American machine guns, probably on their own people. And the guy who made all this happen thinks he's above answering a question about the latest news out of Afghanistan. The reporter, I don't even know who it was a woman, did her job. If she ever asked about the rainfall, in Baton Rouge, she should have been laughed out of the industry. Her job was to ask the most important, the most pressing question, which was about Afghanistan, sir. And he says, I'm not talking about Afghanistan because he can't. He doesn't have the guts. He doesn't have the brain power anymore to address the only topic that really matters right now, right here, today. Tomorrow, I'm sorry, it's the deadline. Tomorrow's the deadline. Right. But apparently, the Taliban didn't want to wait. They took over the airport and stopped people from leaving a day early. So they didn't want to wait. So much for the extension that he was supposed to negotiate. But it just drives me nuts when he doesn't feel like he has a responsibility to address this. You work for us, you buffoon. I mean, forget that you're making, $400,000. That's nothing compared to the money he skims off of Hunter's deals. Forget that. But there are grieving parents, and we'll hear from one of them, at least one of them. There are grieving, and this the kid McCollum who died, his mother called into a radio show. We're going to play it, and pointed out that he's 20. He's has a baby coming in 3 weeks, and he's dead because of a decision our president made. And our president doesn't feel obligated to that mother, to that widow, to that baby, to just address what's going on. I mean, I know there's no good answers because it was such a foolish decision to withdraw, to surrender, to get the military out, to close the Air Force, the air base, to close the embassy before you get the citizens out. It was insane. It was stupid. It is certainly impeachable. And if he didn't have control, it didn't have all the sheep in Congress, if everyone just looked at this on its merits, he'd be impeached today. But you can't talk about it for a minute. You don't have the dignity to address this situation, which is a mess of your making. I mean, hell, lie about it. Just say, yeah, we're doing great. Everything's wonderful. Say, oh yeah, we killed a couple of bomb makers, which nobody believes. Not going to give you names or any details, but we took them out. We took out some of their guys. Yesterday, you took out 6 kids too, but we don't want to get bogged down in the details. But I don't know why it just pisses me off so much. This bothers me more than him looking at his watch at Dover, or falling asleep in a meeting with the Israeli prime minister, which is amazing. I mean, and I love the spin and the defense he gets from people who just don't care. He has a D next to his name. He's not Trump, so they're going to defend him. They can't. All they do is say, Trump, Trump, Trump. What about Trump? And you say, well, what's it got to do with Trump? The guy fell asleep in a meeting with a world leader. And they say, oh, you spliced the tape. That's not really what happened. Yes, it is. The commander-in-chief nodded off in a meeting during the day with the new Israeli prime minister. But this bugs me more than anything when he can't. I'm not answering any questions. You can't answer a question. You just saw them transfer the remains of 11 of 13 service members, heroes who died carrying out your foolish mission. And you can't take a minute to answer it. Maybe the families, the mothers, the widows were all sitting in front of their TV, hoping to hear from you, hoping that you would reassure them that their loved one didn't die in vain. But no, if you don't ask about the rain in New Orleans, he's not going to answer you. But can we play just?
Yeah, do you want to? So I've got the video here that shows it, but there's sound. I mean, everybody will hear it on the podcast too. You ready for it?
Sure. Let's see.
Here it is.
Thank you, Commissioner. I really think it all works. I'm not supposed to take any questions, but go ahead.
Mr. President, on Afghanistan.
I'm not going to answer Afghanistan now.
Can you say if there's still an acute?
You godless friggin' coward! You coward! God, you shouldn't have shown me that.
Oh no! Great. Now you're worked up.
I'm trying. Yes. Now I'm worked up.
You sounded worked up before.
First of all, he's a bumbling, stumbling fool. Anyway, did you hear him just? I'm not supposed to take any questions. Can someone?
That's the second time now. That's the second time.
No, that's like the 50th time. But you're right. The second time in the last few days.
Right.
Can someone inform him that he's the president? I know that's asking a lot, but you're not supposed to take any questions. Yes, you are. I'm paying your salary.
As the U.S. continues evacuation efforts.
Sorry about that. I don't know what that was.
I mean, that's part of the job. Not supposed to take any questions. Yes, you're supposed to take lots of questions. And again, I know everyone, the Biden supporters just look at it as Biden versus Trump. Okay, we'll do that for a second here. Biden versus Trump. What would Trump do in that situation, guys? Trump would stand there until the last question was asked. He would answer questions about the hurricane. He'd answer questions about Afghanistan, about the budget, whatever. And most of them would be about Afghanistan. Of course, Trump would not have done what Biden did. And can we just be done with that saying Biden's the one, Trump's the one that negotiated the deal, with the Taliban. Yes, he did. And he had that stupid idea of hosting them at Camp David. It never happened. But he didn't arm them with $85 billion, with 358,000 assault rifles, with 64,000 machine guns. We have the whole tally here. By the way, that was in the New York Times. That's a bad sign for Joe Biden. Yeah, that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
When the New York Times lays it out, and they have 109 helicopters. 109 helicopters. That's a gift from Joe Biden. That's a disgrace. Trump didn't do that. Trump didn't say, let's give up Bagram Air Base. Trump didn't say, let's get the military out, and then we'll worry about those women and children. Okay, we just have to be done with this. Trump did. No, Joe Biden did it. He owns it, and he doesn't have the balls to talk about it for 1 minute to a friendly press. I mean, they're there to help you, the media, but he doesn't care. He's beyond, senile. He's arrogant, and he's snippy, and he's derelict of duty. I mean, this is a dereliction of duty. to saying, I'm going to do this and I'm not going to talk about it, even though, he can, he's allowed to. It doesn't matter that they told him, Joe, you really shouldn't take any questions. Joe, let's get you to bed. Let's get you to bed early. It's incredible. He's got this, these visiting angels hanging around waiting to put him to bed before he does any more damage. I don't know why that bothers me more than anything else, because it all bothers me. I got a whole list of things since last we talked that this buffoon in the White House has done that would be impeachable if he were Republican.
But it looks like he's trying to get approval from his media friends. Like when he says that, when he was talking to Ducey the other day, hey, I know you're
a
great,
great,
he was trying to be
interesting
like,
man,
really friendly with them. And the same thing with the media here. Hey, I know I'm not supposed to take questions from you guys, but it seems like he wants to, because he wants them to tell him he's okay. It's almost like the same psychosis of wanting to end the Taliban conflict or the conflict in Afghanistan on September 11th. It's just he wants this adulation or something.
That's what. Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're a loved one of the 13, fallen heroes, you know why your loved one is dead, because he wanted a photo op by September 11th. He didn't care, about strategy. He didn't care that giving up the airbase and the embassy wouldn't help matters when you're trying to withdraw. It didn't matter. Just get this done. Get me a photo up. I'm the one that finally ended the war that everybody said they were going to end. Yeah, you are. You are, and you couldn't have done it more disastrously. You couldn't have screwed this up worse. And it's not just a bad look. America turning tail and running and losing a war to a bunch of 6th century savages. No, that's not it. You're getting people killed. You have getting Afghan children killed and American service members. And it'll be a miracle if we don't lose more in the next 2 days or in the next 2 weeks. I mean, we all now know it has been completely mismanaged. We all now know that these people don't know what they're doing. General Milley is on video explaining why Bagram Air Base is not necessary. Strategically, we don't need it.
Right.
It's it's the most incredible sound.
Well, how are you going to get out?
By the way, it was a question from a congressperson of Lloyd Austin, and he steps in and says, I'll handle that. He's so friggin' arrogant. It says, I'll handle that. No, we really have no use for Bagram Air Base. No, we're going to focus on the airport. Yeah, that's such a good idea. Focus on the airport so you can be within range of an RPG or a suicide bomber in the middle of a city of 4 million people, instead of a Bagram Air Base 30 miles away, where we have 2 runways and a lot more land to make your escape. But we wouldn't want to keep that. And by the way, they gave them Bagram Air Base, and the first thing the Taliban did was let all the prisoners go. The prisoners, many of whom are jihadists, ISIS guys who are determined to kill Americans. That was brilliant strategy. It couldn't have been botched any worse, and yet our president doesn't feel like he owes anyone an explanation. He's so friggin' arrogant. No, I'm not taking questions on Afghanistan. You're a coward. You're a coward who's afraid that you'll say the wrong thing. And the people who told you not to take questions, those people, the ones in the shadows, they won't be happy with you, Joe. If you take a question, you don't give the right answer. You've been instructed to call on certain reporters, and I guess this one, he wasn't instructed on who to call on. So the woman asked about Afghanistan, and then he didn't like that.
You were exactly right. She asked exactly what she was supposed to ask. That's exactly what you're supposed to ask. And he's so dumb now. His brain is so addled now. He doesn't know that that's what they're going to ask him. They're not going to ask him about the weather. Come on.
I tell you, I tweeted this. I've said it a million times. That's the result of a lifetime of being coddled, of being protected, of having the media in your back pocket. He doesn't think it through, thinking this is really serious stuff. Now I'm going to have to talk about it. He thinks when he looks out at the media, even at Ducey, by the way, he sees people that have been his supporters his whole life. So he's thinking, they're reporters. Of course they're on my side. That's their job, is to help me. It'd be like going on with, Colbert or Kimmel. Of course they're a bunch of stooges. And he gets confused and he thinks, I just called on Peter Ducey. He's not going to kiss my ass. What am I going to do now? That's when he did this move, bowed his head on the microphone, and all the sycophants said, what compassion, what empathy. No, that was frustration for a guy who couldn't control every question and answer, because one person in that room is an actual reporter. And you're right. I don't even know who the woman was. I guarantee you she's not a hard right winger looking to trip him up. She's just doing her job. Sir, Question about Afghanistan. Nah, I'm not talking about that. All you did was get, a whole bunch of kids killed yesterday with your decision. And a couple days ago, a bunch of heroic 20-year-olds had their whole lives. These are like the most impressive young people. When you see their stories, see their pictures, hear their stories, and you say, these kids had it all going on. They were tough. They were patriotic. They're 20 years old. Because of this buffoon in the White House, they're dead, and their parents are now receiving their remains. I can't imagine I can't imagine how that they don't all feel like this woman, McCollum's. What's her name?
It's Kathy McCollum.
Kathy McCollum is the mother of what's her son's?
His name is Riley McCollum.
Riley McCollum's son is a Marine who was blown up because of Biden's foolish surrender. He's dead. She's frustrated. She doesn't. It's still so raw when you hear her talk. It's just so. Riley McCollum was 20. Riley, R-Y-L-E-E.
Yeah.
McCollum. His mother, Kathy, called into Andrew Wilkow's show on satellite radio. And I think Wilkow was a little stunned because he makes a good point. You're not sure that's her. He couldn't confirm it, but since it has been confirmed, I think she was on for, 8-10 minutes, but it's so raw and so real. And this is probably, I'm going to guess how many of the parents, many of the wives, husbands, parents, brothers, sisters of the deceased. I know lots of them are they're not talking. Obviously, they're grieving. There was one father of one, the kid, Kareem Nikow, also 20. His father was on with Tucker, I think Thursday or Friday, similar, not quite as passionate or emotional, but similar, just in talking about what an impressive kid he was, and how patriotic he was, always wanted to do the right thing, help other people. Did you see the picture of the woman, Nicole Gee, holding the baby? Like her last days on Earth, she was helping the refugees at the wall at the airport, and she took a baby, and she looked so comfortable with the baby in her arms. She's 20. She was 23. She got blown up. She got murdered by the jihadists who the one jihadist who blew himself up at the airport, and one after another, it just all seems so impressive. It seems so wasteful, all dead because Joe Biden wanted to get this whole thing done quick so he could take a bow on September 11th. How's that going to go, by the way? That's 12 days away, 13 days away. Is he going to be taking a bow and bragging about how he ended the war? It only cost, a few young Marines their lives. But, when you get a chance for a good photo op, a good ceremony, you got to go for it.
He couldn't have botched this more. He's not going to get the photo op, of course. And he destroyed lives and
he got the photo op. He's looking at his watch at Dover Air Force Base. That's the photo op, at least today.
Good news for the Taliban is they have twice as many Humvees as I have people in my town of Durham, New Hampshire. They have 22,000 Humvees. I can't even see that number in my head. Like, it is that is an astronomical amount, and it's only part of the vehicles. They've got 42,000 pickups and SUVs.
We'll do this, and then we'll do Riley McCollum's mother, because it's amazing. I tweeted, I read this, looked at it, and tried to get my mind around it. You've seen pictures. There's a video of them assessing all the goodies that Biden left them, and the guns alone are just they literally left like 600,000 guns.
Yeah.
600,000 guns.
Yeah.
By the way, 358,000 assault rifles. That's the term the New York Times uses. This is a president who's determined to take away everybody's assault rifle in this country while giving 358,000 assault rifles to the enemy. And it's just, you could say you left and I've heard, again, the apologists, the Biden stooges say you couldn't leave the Afghan army with nothing. Well, yes, you could have, first of all, because you knew they were going to surrender in days. Everybody knew that. Maybe Biden did it. That didn't, that's just, he's out to lunch. But Milley knew it. Austin knew it. They knew that the Afghan army wasn't going to hold up. But even so, if if you're not aggravated enough, we mentioned the night vision goggles. We used to say, again, in war, especially against some primitive goat herders, we own the night and we own the air, right? Because they don't have night vision goggles and they don't have planes or helicopters. Well, that's changed.
They didn't.
The ragtag band of Islamic terrorists who just defeated us with whatever they had left over, AK-47s from, the Soviets in the 1980s. Those guys who just beat us with nothing now have a fully equipped military. And to just, like you said, just to try to get your mind around the scene of 22,000 Humvees. By the way, I think they got a bunch of cash too, so they could find mechanics. They could find people, engineers to maintain some of this stuff. Maybe not all of it, but what else? We got these are what do you call the bomb resistant? Humvees, 155. What are those things called that are?
Or the Mac Pro, they're mine-proof vehicles.
Mine-proof vehicles. 155 mine. If you left them like 3 Humvees and 1 mine-proof vehicle and 2 tanks, it'd be a disgrace. 169 armored personnel carriers. 169. 42,000 pickup trucks. Now, I understand Biden's a Democrat, Milley's a Democrat. They don't care about taxpayers. They laugh when people talk about, expense or money or budgets. They just spend. This adds up to $265 per person. Women, children, babies, old people in this country, 330 million people, $265 each to subsidize the Taliban military. So if you're ever, you look at your check or your stub or whatever this week and see how much they took out in taxes, just so you know, some of it went to subsidize the Taliban military. 42,000 pickup trucks. Why do we even have that many there?
Do we have that many in the state of New Hampshire where I live? I have no idea. That's such an astronomical number.
42,000 trucks. I know some won't run, some will break down, but most of them will be fine. They're probably Toyota Tundras. That's a good truck. 64,000 machine guns. These people, they can handle those machine guns. They like machine guns. They will know how to put the bullets in and they'll know how to shoot them. And they'll be all set for machine guns for generations. Again, they just defeated the greatest military power in the world without any of this stuff. And now they have, 8,000 trucks, big trucks, 8,000 trucks that carry people, 162,000 radios, 16,000 night vision goggles, 126,000 pistols. They only have 75,000 people in the Taliban. So they all get 5 assault rifles. They almost all get their own truck. There's almost enough trucks there to give every Taliban guy his own truck.
Oh, between trucks, Humvees, and pickups and SUVs, of course. Yeah, they all new vehicles.
176 artillery pieces,
cannons. I don't know. These are
bazookas. It is incredible that we didn't blow this stuff up. We didn't take it to another country. We didn't fill a C-17 with this stuff. We left it for our enemy to have a good old time.
Do you think they'll give us war reparations for this stuff? Maybe pay us back?
They should.
40 billion?
We should become allies now since we've armed them. I mean, the idea that if you armed them and they were your allies, if you used all this and you gave it to the Northern Alliance 20 years ago, or gave it to this band of rebels in the mountains, the vice president, whatever his name, he's got a group and they're holding out.
Right.
If you gave it to them, that'd be questionable. It'd be like, you really want to give all that stuff to a group of Islamic fanatics that you don't really know? You'd be like, yeah, that's kind of nuts. You just gave it to an enemy. You gave it to the people who killed Americans for the last 20 years or tried to kill Americans. You gave it to the people who protected Osama bin Laden. That's who you gave it to. You gave it to the people who stone women to death for adultery, who don't let girls go to school, who cut off the hands of petty thieves. That's who now has all this technology. And by the way, this isn't the worst of it. The worst of it is they have this technology where they can track down the people who helped us. An iris scan. They have a machine, I can get the name of it, but a machine that it scans your eyeball. So they can confirm without question who you are. And they got, because they have our embassy and they have our air base, they got all the computers, and they can find out exactly who helped us. And if they haven't got out of the country yet, they can go knock on their door and kill them. There it is. You're looking at the picture of them scanning eyeballs that to confirm without question who helped us and who didn't. So
it's the device known as the HIDE, HIIDE. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but the handheld interagency identity detection equipment.
They have that.
Yeah.
They have that, and they are using that, and they are finding and probably killing anybody who helped us. Can you imagine? Can you come up with anything we could have done worse in this? Anything? We gave up our air base. We gave up our embassy. We gave up all our trucks and guns and all our technology. So not only are they blowing up young Marines, but they're tracking down the people who helped us, the collaborators, and killing them. And now that we're gone, essentially, these people have nowhere to turn, no one to protect them. They're just dead. They're dead. They can hide. Maybe they can go into the mountains, but eventually they'll be caught. They'll deny they helped us. They'll break out this little device, put it in their eyeball. Boom, guilty. Boom. If they're lucky, they get a bullet between the eyes. If they're not, they get tortured. And if they're female, or I guess they rape. Even if they're male, especially if they're young males, they love those. They love young boys. But that's the worst thing I've decided a president has ever done. Armed our enemy to the teeth.
So I was looking at Iran-Contra just to give myself some perspective. And I was pretty young when that was going on. Those are, early to mid 80s.
Yes.
The total amount of arms was like 1.5 billion over the course of 6 years.
That's to our ally. That's to our ally.
And now
this is our enemy.
We're it's 70 times. I mean, it's just, you're right. I don't think there's been there's never been anything worse. We've never done anything like this. Our government has never done anything like
I wish you disagreed, because,
I'd love to, but what is there to say?
Yeah, look at this. And I'm correct, right? This was in the New York. It made the rounds on Twitter. I'd retweeted it, but this was in the New York Times, right? This graphic.
I think so. Yeah.
This is devastating, and I'll tell you why. Is because not everybody, I don't want to brag, but not everyone reads as much as I do, or you do. Not everyone. They're busy, I do this. This is my life, reading stuff and watching stuff, For people who are busy, they own a tire store or something, or they pave driveways, and they got things to do, work, kids. And they don't have time to read some in-depth story about the utter incompetence of the administration. This they can understand. Not only does it have numbers, it's got little pictures. So you could see over here, pistols, 126,295 pistols that we handed as a housewarming gift to the Taliban. Oh, look, we got night vision goggles, 16,035 with a picture of a night. And you go, holy crap. These people just beat us and they couldn't see anything at night, and now they can. This is bad news for all their other enemies.
That's exactly it. Totally. I mean, I said this before and got some flack about saying this destabilizes the region. It was already destabilized. Yes, but this is worse. Now you've created another heavily empowered faction who can start to knock on their neighbors' doors and do some damage.
Oh, they can. And you're right. If they have, and I know this leader they have who's been in hiding is coming out.
I was trying to find his name.
He must just be laughing his ass off, saying, wait a second, not only did we get rid of every friggin' American, but we now have a $700,000 embassy, with like Evian showers, and we have a air base with 2 runways and a prison and a gym. That's all ours.
Right.
And ice cream. We got everything. They must just be laughing. And what did they do to get that? Nothing. All they had to do was get Joe Biden elected. That's it.
Just had to wait. Just be a little patient.
And I'm not saying that Trump didn't want to get out. He did. Everyone wanted to get out, but he would have done it much, much better than this. I could say that for sure. I have no doubt. In fact, I was the dumbest, politician you've ever heard of, like Ed Markey. If he were president, he would have done a better job. I mean, you could have a president with, with brain damage. Oh, I guess we do. And it could be the dumbest person in Congress. They wouldn't have botched it this badly. You couldn't find a way to botch it this badly. And this black and white, where you don't, again, the people who are defending Biden have no leg to stand on. All they do is talk about Trump. Trump wanted the Taliban to come to Camp David. Yes, he did. That was stupid. He never did it, but he wanted them to. If you think Trump would have handed this kind of arsenal to the enemy, you're sadly mistaken. Never, ever would have happened. We're going to find out there were all kinds of people advising Biden not to do this, and he didn't care. He wanted a photo up. So now we have 11 dead Marines, a Navy corpsman, and an Army guy dead. Kids, 20-year-olds dead.
So I don't even like the argument, and I get why you're saying it, but I don't even like the argument of who would have done what or not. I think that most reasonable people, I believe you, I think most reasonable people would not have done it. But that's like not even the argument anymore because Biden's in office.
I know.
We know it was him. So when people are trying to blame shift to someone else who's not even there, it's a terrible argument.
Truly, because it's like, okay, Trump this, Trump that. Trump's not president. Trump didn't do this. The president.
It's on his watch, Biden's watch.
You're supposed to, and I realized this, the coward in the White House takes no blame for anything. As he said the other day when Ducey asked him to take responsibility, he said, oh, yes, I take responsibility for everything. But you know Trump, what the last guy did.
Right.
You know it.
Right.
Well, what? Did the last guy give all these tanks to the enemy? No, he didn't. Did the last guy leave our Marines at the airport, sit in ducks? For these suicide bombers? No, he didn't. That was on you. You're president. That's all that matters right now. And you're a disgrace. And the best insurance you have is your running mate. Your vice president is the worst politician in American history. Nobody likes her. Nobody wants her. So they're willing to ride it out with a dementia. What'd she call him? A dementia-ridden piece of crap.
Right. So you know that the first picture we saw, I think it was maybe the first night when people were when pilots were starting to evacuate folks from Kabul. It was a C-130 with like 600 people stuffed in there, right?
C-17.
Was it a C-17? Yeah. Wasn't a C-130?
Well, how many of those did we give them?
Okay, so I was going to make that bad comparison for me. No, we gave them 4 C-130s. We gave them 23, what is it, the Embraer EMB Super Tucano airplanes.
You know what an AC-130 is?
I don't know what the AC-10 is. I don't know what the AC.
That's like a attack plane.
Oh yeah.
Which is like the greatest against these guerrilla fighters. You go in with that and just I think, or is that what's the AC-130 gunship? Is that because obviously the A is for attack. You got a picture on? Yeah, that looks scary. An AC-130.
Yeah, it's a heavily armored, still a very big.
They have those now.
They also have 66. They have 100 helicopters.
Have they crashed any yet? Because I figure they're going to be like, they don't know how to fly them. They'll be flying into trees or power.
That'll be blooper reels. We'll start to see that on Twitter too.
Yeah, I mean, some Afghan flyers took planes and helicopters to neighboring countries like Uzbekistan, I believe, and Uzbekistan wants to kick them out. They don't want them there. They don't like them. But if they go back to Afghanistan, they'll cut their heads off because they fought against them. He killed some Taliban people. So I believe we're trying to find a place for them now, a friendly country.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure most of them will end up in this country. But we have veterans now who are trying harder than the military to get our allies out. People who helped us. They're literally these veterans. I don't know. They got a nickname of their group, and they're trying to get their people out, and they're disgusted. They say the State Department and the military are doing nothing to help them. Those are the kind of stories, by the way, we're going to be reading for years. And there's going to be days where you read a story about how we left people to die, and they died, and it's going to be disgusting. It truly is. This is going to get worse and worse as we learn more and more, particularly about how we left these 13 and maybe more to die.
The other issue I'm having is I'm seeing that there are reports of 300 Americans left in country, but I really think that they just mean in Kabul. I think there are a lot more people around the country who are just still hiding in terrorist. I don't think 300 is the right number, but that's the one they're using.
It's over. It's over for them. They can't. There's nothing we can do now. They've taken over the airport. There's. I heard of this morning a woman, an American citizen, I think dual citizenship, Afghan American, who was crying on a phone call, and they had it. I don't know who she called. I think it might have been this group of veterans, saying, I can't get to the airport. They won't let me through. I have a passport, and I don't know what to do. And I don't think anyone knows what to do. Obviously, we're leaving people behind. You always hear the military say, we don't leave no man behind. Well, we left men behind, and women and children, and they are screwed. Unless, we offer to give the Taliban, I don't know, the owner's manuals to all this stuff.
I don't know.
Some spare parts. some ammo. To this story doesn't mention ammo.
Oh,
109 helicopters, 109 to a military that had none. They had no helicopters. Now they have 109. Oh God, there is nothing close. Iran-Contra, Watergate, Obama's IRS scandal, Obama wiretapping reporters. There's no scandal even close to this, in my opinion, especially when we found out what they do with all the weaponry. They're going to be killing people real soon, whoever it is. Their enemies, they're, in the country, out of the country, overseas, Americans, they're going to be killing people with our weapons. You think I'm frustrated? You think I'm disgusted? I think we should hear from Kathy McCullum, mother of Riley McCullum, dead Marine, who called into Andrew Wilkow's show. And this is real and this is raw. And I imagine this is how I would feel. I imagine this is how most of the mothers and fathers feel, because again, I know it doesn't matter whether your kid is a great kid or a loser scumbag like Hunter Biden. You love your child, right? You love your child, even if they're a screwed up crackhead who likes to videotape himself smoking crack with hookers and young girls. Joe Biden still loves him. He calls him the smartest person he knows. But these people are better. These kids were better than Hunter Biden. They were better than me. They were better than you, probably. They were just people who did the right thing. They joined for the right reasons, for the most part. They seem like such great kids, and with the whole world ahead of them, just out there literally saving the world from bad people. That's why they joined. That's what they did. And their commander-in-chief left them out in the open for the jihadists to blow up. And this is one, Riley McCallum's mother, Kathy, calling in and voicing her disgust with the commander-in-chief.
My son was one of the Marines that died yesterday. 20 years and 6 months old, getting ready to come home from freaking Jordan to be with his wife to watch the birth of his son. And that feckless, dementia-ridden piece of crap just sent my son to die. I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning to Marines at my door telling me my son was dead. So to have her on right before me and listen to that piece of crap talk about diplomatic crap with freaking Taliban terrorists who just freaking blew up my son and know nothing, to not say anything about, oh my God, I'm so sorry for the families. So my son is gone. And I just want all you Democrats who cheated in the election or who voted for him legitimately, you just killed my son.
That's like part one of 4 or 5 parts, and it's all very a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, and you can't blame her one bit. You imagine that you got a 20-year-old kid, he's expecting a baby in a couple of weeks. He's just a great kid, and you not only lose him, but you don't know why. I mean, you really genuinely don't know why. If your son died, taking Iwo Jima, or your son died storming the beach of Normandy, you say, he died, saving the world. He literally died fighting evil. Why did Riley McCallum have to die?
No, it makes no sense. I mean, he at that point he's on retreat. Like we're retreating out of the country. So to see him die, it's you're right. There's no purpose behind it anymore.
And you see the pictures if you saw them before the attack, and it's just a bunch of Marines hanging around, wide open, totally vulnerable, totally in harm's way because of Joe Biden's decisions. I'm going to guess that Kathy McCullum's not the last angry parent who we will hear from. But if you haven't heard it all, there's a few more parts, much the same. She goes off on Biden, goes off on people who put Biden there, and as I've done every day, the voters, the media, big tech, all the people in the Democrat Party who decided that this was going to be the guy. I know why, because people liked him and they didn't feel threatened by him, and you could kind of advance a radical agenda. He was the Trojan horse. He was just the good old Joe. So they picked him essentially. And in Trump obviously had his issues, but you had big tech in your back pocket. You could suppress the news, the Hunter Biden laptop. You had the media in your back pocket, so you could, Joe could hide in his basement for 6 months, and they could do the campaign for him. It's on all of them. They put him in office. He made this decision. Lots of people are dead now, including 20-year-old Riley McCallum. And I think his mom speaks for a lot of people, and you could just feel that the anger, the pain in her voice. And similar, I think a lot of parents, and I know the media are reaching out to them, and I think most of them are saying, we're grieving, we're busy, we're not going to do any interviews right now. And maybe they'll be that way for a while, but eventually they'll all have the chance to speak. How do you say the Lawrence woman, the Lawrence Marine? It's Johanny Rosario Richards. Do I have that right?
I'm not looking at it.
Johanny. She was 25. She was from Lawrence. She was a woman. She was Hispanic, or like they say now, Latinx. She was a Marine. She was killed by this suicide bomber. Boston Globe did not mention her on the front page. They had a little teaser like at the bottom, but they had story after story about, COVID and a big spike in cases among children, which is all, generally a lie. And they had, some story about, some lesbian lumberjack in Vermont or something, typical stories you get from the Globe, but not a word on the front page about Johanny Rosario, a female Hispanic from Lawrence. And they didn't think she was worthy of the front page. The New York Times, from Washington Post, every other newspaper had something about these deceased Marines or about Afghanistan above the fold. The New York Times had all their pictures, all 13's faces, pictures, smiling faces on the front page, but not the Boston Globe. They had more important things to do. Of course, we'll get to our next story how about this transition. Of course, they didn't feel compelled to write about Scott Zolak either.
No, they're not writing about any of the top stories in the country.
Globe is just so corrupt. I mean, they just have no ethical standards at all. There's nothing about it that makes it a newspaper, a news organization. It's a left-wing, propaganda arm for John Henry and Linda Pizzuti and the rest of the wokesters. They are the media wing of the woke mob. They attack their enemies. They protect their friends. I assume this is an attempt to protect Biden by burying the story of him getting 13 servicemen killed. So you say, let's keep it on page 3. Don't put it on page 1. We don't want to make a big deal out of it. Joe's had a tough week. So they protected Biden, I guess, but it's just ridiculous. I mean, not that anyone reads it, but it's worth laughing at. And we'll get to Scott Zolak and the latest contrived cancel culture story, the latest victim, or I should say target of the woke mob, our friend Scott Zolak and the Boston Globe not touching the story. But first, you want me to do Shay?
Yeah, let's do that.
We will do Shay, and then we will talk about Scott Zolak, who stepped in it a little bit, but I think he's going to survive, which is good. But first, Shay Concrete. I first saw this story on TMZ, the TMZ's Twitter feed, and I laughed and I thought it was funny, and I retweeted it, and then someone said, "What are you doing? You don't retweet that." And what do you mean? Zolak's in trouble. I go, "No, really? He's in trouble?" Sometimes I don't recognize these things. It would be like reading Alex Berenson's last tweet.
I think it was a problem.
And thinking, I read his tweet. I read all Alex Berenson's tweets. We'll get to that. Didn't think it's a problem. He gets banned for life by Jack Dorsey because you're not allowed to share information if it goes against, the system, or it goes against the efforts of the deep state. You can't do that. So Alex Berenson, who was perhaps the most informative guy on COVID on Twitter, maybe the most informative guy on COVID, period, has now been deplatformed because he dared to question the efficacy of vaccines. But let's get to Zolak first. I guess I should have known. I should recognize this of all people. I should know when the mob is going to get stirred up. But Scott Zolak was at practice, Patriots practice, on the field, watching the quarterbacks, which is all anyone cares about, the Mac Jones versus Cam Newton competition. And he made a comment. We'll play it, but Cam Newton's very animated on the field, and when he's practicing, he's dancing, he's talking, he's giving people nicknames, and he's generally appears to be having a good time, and the music's playing at practice, and he's dancing, and apparently he's not looking so great, throwing the ball so great, because he's, let's face it, he's not great.
Well, he had a terrible year last year. Did he have more interceptions than he had 8 touchdowns? I think he had more interceptions,
yes,
right?
Yeah, I think it was 10 or 11 picks.
And I got to say, I saw Cam Newton play one of the best games against the Patriots I'd ever seen. Maybe it was maybe it might have been 2015 when he was the MVP of the league. Like, he looked so great.
15-1.
And to see that Cam Newton versus what he was last year, it's like a night and day. I know he's had some arm shoulder issues. Right. He didn't look good last year, and there's definitely a competition.
He's not going to be the quarterback. I mean, he's probably going to start week 1, maybe week 2, but that job is Mac Jones's. He's better. He throws the ball better. He makes better decisions. Cam Newton stinks right now. Last year, you're right, 8 touchdowns, 10 picks.
Yeah.
He was the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. He was 7-8, the first losing season. I believe the Patriots were 7-9 in 20 years.
Yeah.
He just wasn't the same player anymore. Didn't make great decisions, turned the ball over, just didn't move the ball down the field, didn't throw accurately. He was very inaccurate. He was getting, throwing the ball at receivers' feet over their heads. It was obvious. I was surprised they even brought him back, but I guess they didn't pay him a lot of money, and he understood the deal. He might lose the job. He might end up as a backup, but you can't, if it's close, and I guess it is in preseason, if you pick the rookie, then Cam Newton's useless. He doesn't, you don't even want him on the team at that point. If he starts and he does okay, and he gives Mac Jones some more time to learn and evolve,
mature, and learn the playbook.
That's great.
And all that stuff.
That's great. So he'll probably start for a game or 2, and then Mac Jones will take over. But anyway, that's irrelevant. Zolak points out that he appears distracted because he's dancing and singing to the music, and he dares to mention what kind of music, rap music. And again, this blows up because everything is about race to liberals. Everything is about race to the woke mob, and the usual suspects. Deadspin starts writing about it. My friend Alex Reamer, and we'll get to Reamer. Reamer doesn't want to join us, by the way. I just
did he answer back?
Yes, he just got. I said,
come on, Alex.
Come on. I'll tell you, I got to
stop protecting your $30,000 a year job for your corporate newspaper and come on the show.
He's with the dark side now. He's writing for Entercom.
Well, he's a wuss, just like his column was a wuss.
And everyone knows I like Reamer, and I liked him when he was on this show and on my old show. He was always up for the battle. He's good. He's crazy. He's liberal.
Always up for the battle. He won't come on your program.
Not now, but that's because he works for Entercom, and they won't allow. He knows that as soon as he comes on,
he could go be a waiter and make more money, and then do what he wants content-wise, and just be a human instead of this.
He's a good writer, though. He's a good writer.
Not this case. Well, I know he's your buddy. I'm sorry that I'm dragging your buddy.
But this is a stupid column.
It's a terrible column.
It's not poorly written. It's just typical, and it's the theme of it is we just can't get out of our own way.
Who's we?
And here's. Let's play Zolak. Let's play Zolak, and
you got me fired up.
Okay, everyone out there, try to listen to this and tell me whether you thought right away the Zolak's in trouble, because I didn't.
The bill will change his mind, is what I'm asking you. I'd turn off the rap music first of all, because I think it's distracting for Cam here. Because in between every throw, he's dancing.
I did see Karen Garigian of the Herald tweeting about that as he took the field. He's doing it in between drills, you're saying?
Yeah. He makes a throw, and then the music's still cranking. I know you can hear faintly in the background here.
I think it's distracting for you.
No, it's when they play Bon Jovi.
All right.
That's basically it.
That's it. And there were people literally calling for Zolak's job, saying, will he be on the air last night, because he does the TV of the preseason? And yes, he was. He had to issue the perfunctory apology. Obviously, he didn't mean it. He just was told you have to do it, so he did it.
That's so weak, too.
It's weak, but I mean, he's got a great job. He does the games. He's got middays. He gets great ratings, even if his show's not great, he gets great ratings. He's a big celebrity in that crowd. They love him. If they told him you apologize or you're done, would you blame him?
I do blame him. Yeah.
Okay. So you would give up your career.
Fuck yeah. I would say, listen, I did not mean that. That's not what I meant at all. You're taking me at the worst possible interpretation of what I said. You guys should go do something else.
There's no question he should not have apologized. He doesn't have to apologize, but this is the world we live in. He's got a great job, and they say just issue a phony apology, a hollow apology, and we'll move on. Hey, I give the radio station credit. They didn't fire him. If he said that same thing on EEI,
He'd be gone.
He'd be gone, or
Yeah.
he'd be suspended. They would absolutely throw him to the wolves. I mean, we know what kind of cowards make those decisions, and they would absolutely say, we don't condone this kind of stuff. Zolak did nothing wrong. Nothing.
You know this way better than me. I'm assuming you've worked with him in the past. I know nothing.
I know him. I like him.
Yeah,
I haven't worked
from. I've seen like he's got good reputation. He's a good guy. He's a really nice guy, right?
Yeah, he's just a big, loud, crazy, fun guy. Yeah,
with not like he doesn't have a lot of malice in his heart. Has he ever done anything like this before?
No, but this isn't anything. That's my point. See, you're falling in the trap.
There's
he
no
didn't
trap.
do anything. I hate this when you, and then people said, "You think Zolak's a racist?" That question is
I just mean you have to look.
That question's inappropriate. He didn't do anything. So don't start shining the light on him and saying, "Oh, do you think he meant it?"
Here's my point. Here's my point. People like Alex are looking at people in this lens where they think that the worst intentions are what they mean. And I hate that mentality. That's how the left is a lot of time. That's how cancel culture is right now. They look at the person who says something and they take them at their absolute worst possible intentions. Where you have to, if they just took one, Alex must have, maybe he's worked with Zolak. He must know Zolak's reputation. He should say, "Oh, maybe I should take this middle of the road."
Who cares about his reputation? We're talking about the merits of the comment.
All I'm saying is take people at their best reputation.
I don't care if he's in the Klan. He goes at the Klan meetings at night. The comments. He's analyzing the play of a quarterback, which is the number one thing a football analyst does. That's his job.
Yeah.
And he's observing it on the field, and he says, Cam Newton appears distracted by the music. He's dancing between throws, and Mac Jones is focused. And, of course, Alex points out, the black quarterback goofs off. The white quarterback doesn't. Why do we have to say – you know why he says that? Because that's what he sees. That's what he observes. Is he supposed to say in his own mind, I can't criticize him because he's black? I can't mention it's rap music, but it is. I mean, it's rap music. He's dancing and he appears distracted.
Yeah.
Here's what drives me nuts is people say, and I heard of people all kinds of people over the weekend saying this. It's like, who cares if he listens to music? Tom Brady used to dance to music at practice. Tom Brady's I'm not sure if you're aware of this, the greatest quarterback ever. Tom Brady has 7 Super Bowl rings. Tom Brady, as I pointed out on Twitter, could run naked through the parking lot before the game to get ready.
Yes.
And you'd say, that works. We're talking about a lousy quarterback who's going to start for you. He was terrible last year. We're waiting to see if he'll be terrible this year. And you have a football analyst watching practice and telling you he doesn't appear focused. And why doesn't he appear focused? Because he's dancing instead of focusing on the next play. That's the job of an analyst. He did his job. He's not supposed to say, I can't say that because he's black. If he were white and it were country music, I could say it. But he's black and it's rap music, so I can't, or it'll upset Deadspin and Alex Reamer and callers to talk radio. That's what I hate to say. Why did he have to say that? Why did he have to go there? It's his job. If you read into it, if you infer racism, that's on you. That's on you because there's nothing racist about this. And, would I have said the same thing? Probably not. I mean, I wouldn't have thought, this guy's distracted. That's just his style. Maybe I would have said, I don't want to say that because I know it'll get, Deadspin riled up. And if I work at EEI, they'll probably fire me for it because they're so gutless in these situations and so scared of the mob and the Globe. They, in the defense of EEI, they have to worry about the Globe. The Globe,
they do.
If you're at 98.5 Zolak station, you don't have to worry about the Globe. The Globe is in your back pocket. So you don't have to worry about them riling up a mob. So there is a different dynamic, and I understand that. But like Reamer says, Zolak's ridiculous musings about Newton hit every stereotype that black quarterbacks face. They're not serious. They're not smart. They're unfocused. All right, my question to Reamer, who will not join us, and according to Matt Carano, that's because he's what do you call him?
I can call him a pussy.
Pussy, yeah, okay. Right. He's really not. He has a job. He doesn't want to lose his job. Okay. You think that people just can go out and get another job? If you're Alex Reamer,
he could wait tables and make more money, and then he could be his own man.
This is his career. He's a writer. Anyway, I'm defend him that far, but not defend this.
All right.
Okay. Question for you, Reamer. You used to be you have the guts to sit here and answer for me, but now you're protecting your phony baloney job, according to Matt Carano. Anyway, so he's watching practice. He thinks Newton's distracted. He thinks the music and the dancing is part of it. Is he supposed to say, I can't say that because someone took a dump at Bill Russell's house 60 years ago? I can't say that because, the Boston Red Sox had a racist general manager and they invited all the white players to the Elks to Winter Haven, but not the black players. I can't say that because, there's a road named after Tom Yawkey in Boston. And, we don't want to deal with that again. He talks about bringing up, he mentions Adam Jones, who we pretty sure lied.
At least we have never heard any proof that contradicts that.
He actually mentions Torrey Hunter. Torrey Hunter, it was the most ridiculous story of all time. He said that he was at Fenway and a group of kids chanted the N-word and a group of parents cheered them, applauded them. Obviously, it's 100% made up. Jussie Smollett's story has more credibility than this. But people like Alex, and not just Alex, all kinds of them. I'm sure if the Globe ever gets around to this, they'll start mentioning Torrey Hunter and Adam Jones. And people who make stuff up.
He's mentioning Kyrie here, too. It's the racist water bottle thing again.
Kyrie. So a super fan, Celtic super fan with I believe it was Kevin Garnett jersey, who spends all his money just to go to games and cheer on his team of a bunch of black players. He's racist because he threw a water bottle at Kyrie Irving, who's the biggest dick in the league, everyone admits. He hates Kyrie Irving, and that's supposed to be about race just because Irving says it was? Why do people fall in to that trap? Why do they allow that?
It's the easy thing for him to write. It's easy because he'll get Twitter applause from it. Well, that's why I think he's a coward for writing this. This is that he just wanted to use this to talk about Boston being a racist city again. He wanted to do that.
Zolak is from Western Pennsylvania. Zolak played in the NFL, played for the Patriots. He sees something, he comments on it. He's supposed to think about, the long history of, busing in South Boston. And for that reason, not supposed to criticize Cam Newton. It's just so bizarre that people fall in line with this ridiculous deadspin narrative. Although, it's Boston. We can't do that. We can't criticize the black guy, even though he sucked last year. He was terrible last year. But we're supposed to protect him. He wears funny hats and gives people funny nicknames, and he's a good teammate, and he's a good guy. He's a lousy quarterback. Zolak's job is to point that out. And one of the things he observed was he doesn't appear particularly focused. This, by the way, was coming off a COVID, not suspension, sideline because of COVID restrictions. And he got the wrong kind of test, and he's unvaccinated and we know that he has to wear a mask. Maybe the media will turn on him for that, not for dancing. Can you do that? Can you criticize a guy for being unvaccinated?
Well, that's the thing.
You know what? There are a lot more black people who are unvaccinated than white.
But all Zolak was doing is making a comparison. If he didn't do that, there's a quarterback competition, and if Zolak isn't making a comparison between the two quarterbacks, then he's not doing anything. Like, what is he going to talk about? There's nothing to talk about.
I mean, and so he's supposed to see that, see a distracted quarterback, see a guy who's not getting the job done. He's not making good throws. He looks unfocused. He says, you should probably stop dancing and start focusing on football. And that's racist? Honest to God. So
it's insanity.
If it was like, if he said it was John Bon Jovi or whatever, country music, and he didn't mention the word rap, would that be okay?
I think he would say yes, which is ridiculous.
Oh, God. And again, it's just these people. Why did he have to go there?
But I'm sorry.
It's his job.
Do
we really have to go there again? No, you don't have to go there again. You could say yes. Either you could say, yes, he is distracted, or no, he's not. You want to criticize Zoe? Fine. Say Newton is not distracted. Newton, this helps him when he dances and sings. That's the way some guys do it. That's how they get ready to play. You don't say, he's black. You can't say that. It's absurd. I'm glad the Wolves didn't get their pound of flesh. Zolak gave the phony apology and survived and was on the game last night. I assume he'll be back on the job today and going forward because he did nothing wrong.
But you're all right with the apology, though.
I didn't even hear it. Did you?
I heard it, but I couldn't grab it because I heard it this morning on the way in.
I'm just telling you the reality of the situation. They say you have to apologize and you can go back to work. If you don't, we're going to have to suspend you. That's what happens.
I mean, at some point, we're going to have to start pushing back against this. Or
I think that's what we just did for the last 20 minutes.
I mean, someone who was in the crosshairs. He needs to stand up and say, we can't defend him. He has to defend himself.
There are a few people push. Kid Rock, remember Kid Rock was on tape calling people the F slur, and he said, you want an apology? Good luck. You're never getting it. and there are others, but generally they're in position to do that. I love that. People I was on with Adam Carolla, and he's talking about how, we have to stand up to cancel culture. I told the story of why I got canceled. Oh, we have to stand up to cancel culture. It's easy for Adam Carolla to say. He's never been in real hot water. His boss has never pressured him to, change or to apologize. It's easy for some people to say it because they've never been in that situation. Zolak or Reamer, they got a job to protect. Getting all worked up today.
I'm worked up too. Thanks, by the way.
I
mean, now a young man with a 60-year-old heart because of you.
Really?
I don't
Good.
know.
Well, that there was so much to get pissed off about. We don't have time to get into everything. That hopefully has blown over. I don't think too many people read Deadspin anymore. Again, the Globe is protecting, as they always do. They're picking sides.
Was it Flynn that normally would write about this stuff, and he didn't?
Chad Finn.
Chad,
yeah,
right?
Of course,
Yeah.
Chad Finn. I mean, again, if this were Christian Fourier, former Patriot on EEI, said the exact same thing, the Globe would have it on page 1, above the fold. They wouldn't have the death of a local hero Marine, but they'd have this. And they would write about it every day, and they would literally call EEI's advertisers, they don't have many of those left, but they would call their last remaining advertisers and harass them until they suspended or fired the culprit, whoever, it's Christian Fourier or whoever, Lou Maloney. They would absolutely stay on it until they were fired. But again, they're to protect their friends at 98.5, and Zolak happens to be one of them. And I understand Zolak's a great guy, and I'm glad he survived. Alex Berenson, let's do this quick.
Sure.
Alex Berenson did not survive on Twitter, which is amazing. Yeah, get the final tweet because it's amazing. And you know what? Jack Dorsey doesn't even pretend anymore. He's not subtle. He just flat out picks sides, says, I'm super pro-vaxxer, which they are. Everybody, all the people that used to be, the rebels, the outlaws are now the Praetorian Guard for the deep state, for the system. And so they're pro-vaxxer, and there will be no questioning. There'll be no debate. There'll be no disagreeing. You're either super pro-vaxxer, you want to vaccinate your dog, or you will be banned from Twitter. Alex Berenson, if you don't know, how many followers did he have?
Hundreds of thousands, 300,000? I can't remember.
Very popular tweeter on vaccines, on COVID. He's written these booklets. He's on Tucker. He's on a lot of shows. And he has this question. I mean, he has all the data. He's a data-driven guy, and he'll look at Israel, the most vaccinated country in the world, and they have a huge spike now of vaccinated people getting COVID, and he will question, the effectiveness of vaccines. That's what he does. And they put a label on it.
The tweet is misleading, yeah.
Read the tweet, because it's amazing.
So this is what Alex pins to the top of his Twitter. It doesn't stop infection or transmission. Don't think of it as a vaccine. Think of it at best as a therapeutic with a limited window of efficacy and terrible side effect profile that must be dosed in advance of illness. And we want to mandate it. Insanity.
And so they put a label on it first. This tweet is misleading. I don't know.
Learn why health officials recommend a vaccine for most people.
And that wasn't enough for Jack Dorsey.
No.
He banned him for life. This is so, to me, chilling. And I wish everyone felt the same way, even if you're a super pro-vaxxer, that you can't have discussion. You can't have, and by the way, the head of the CDC, Rochelle Walensky, said the same thing.
Yeah.
She said the same thing. It doesn't stop infection or transmission. It
can reduce the symptoms.
Reduces the effects, the symptoms of the disease, and it can have side effects. That's what he said. And he's banned for life. You can't disagree with the narrative that is out there by the big tech, mainstream media, by the mob. These people all agree on it. If you dissent, you are taken down, just like, Trump, or just like, all the, Turtle Boy. I mean, you're taken down by Twitter, by big tech. This guy has facts and data to back up everything he says. He's not some crazed, lunatic. The Taliban is still on Twitter, but Alex Berenson is not. Brandy Love still on Twitter. I'm okay with that, but you can, watch hardcore porn on Twitter.
Yeah.
But you can't get another side to the vaccine debate. You can't do it. It's madness. And if you think that's crazy, our last cancel culture story of the weekend, General Flynn, we know General Flynn is an enemy of the deep state. He was set up by Joe Biden and the Obama team. It was Biden's idea to set Flynn up to trap him with the FBI interrogation to bring him down. That was how they. He was like the first domino to fall in the phony Russian narrative. Anyway, the former, briefly, national security advisor for Trump, a decorated veteran, made a joke. What was the joke about?
I think so. He was at some sort of rally. He was handed, I think it was an AR-15, and he made a joke that he was going to go start, picking off politicians.
Yeah, that's
not a good joke, but
right.
It's pretty typical.
Whatever. It's a joke. It's a joke. He's not going to pick up politicians. He's a general.
Right. 3-star general.
Anyway, that was, so you're thinking, oh, Twitter took him down? No, they did that a long time ago, I think. Facebook? No, not Facebook. Oh, PayPal? No. Chase Bank canceled his credit card. Do I have that right?
That's it. No, they canceled his bank accounts and credit card, calling him a reputational risk.
So he can't have a bank account at Chase Bank. A decorated general who fought for this country, was in the military for 30-something years. He can't have a bank account because they don't like a joke he made, or they just don't like him because, he was a Trump guy. He's an enemy of the Biden regime. So he has to find a new bank. If you don't find this disturbing, and again, I'll go back to my man, Bill Maher. Bill Maher will talk about this or something about like this, and he'll go off on the liberal mindset these days. The liberals who, and if you missed Bill Maher last Friday, liberals who think, America's a terrible place, and he went through, all the countries where, they throw gays off buildings and they don't allow girls to go to school. He went through, people just whether it's Afghanistan or Sierra Leone or whatever, went through all the ways people live in these other countries and said, what is wrong with you people? America's the best place in the world. This is Bill Maher, former hardcore lefty, still hates Trump, but this kind of stuff is what sets him off, and it set off everyone, liberal, conservative, doesn't matter. You can't have a bank account?
You're right. I'm sorry. It was credit card accounts. After careful consideration, we decided to close your credit cards on this date because continuing the relationship creates possible reputational risk to our company.
A guy who's not in jail, not a prisoner. I mean, right now, someone could find out, maybe they can't, but someone will find out who else has credit cards with Chase, and probably all kinds of O.J. Simpson. Does he have an account there? I mean, there's got to be Bill Cosby.
Right.
There's got to be all kinds of degenerate criminals and lowlifes who have bank accounts and credit cards. What's next? What's next? Like you can't go in an Uber. You can't have a bank account. You can't have a Venmo account. You can't have a whatever. We've gone through this with Turtle Boy, but it is frightening what the deep state will do to you if you step out of line. Berenson's off Twitter. General Flynn can't have a credit card, and Scott Zolak survived though, so we end on a good note. Scott Zolak survived. He is a good guy. He did nothing wrong. Zero. He's like Mike Milbury or Jeremy Roenick, who both got canceled for doing nothing. That's what Zolak did. But what we need is people like us to push back, to not fall in that trap and say, "Oh, why did he do that?" Just when we were again. I mean, he didn't do anything. It has nothing to do with Bill Russell or Tory Hunter or busing or anything else. It has to do with a quarterback and a football analyst watching him on the sideline and giving you his observations. It has nothing to do with race or racism or racial history of a city. It's absurd. Just don't allow people to apply that narrative. And Reamer will not be joining us. He said no, but Reamer should know better. He should know better. I talked to Reamer recently. You know what about? About people jumping all over him and calling him a racist because he tweeted about Rachel Nichols. Rachel Nichols, got replaced by, I guess she temporarily got replaced by Maria Taylor, now by another attractive young black woman. And Rachel Nichols went, as we know, on kind of kicking and screaming on a private conversation. We talked a lot about that. So he tweeted about it, defended Rachel Nichols, and he said that he got all these tweets calling him racist. I go, get used to it. That's what they do. They're a mob. They're anonymous. They could just sit there at their phone or computer, call you racist, and intimidate you. That's the game. They want to shut you up, get you to fall in line. Even if you're a good gay liberal like Alex, they don't stand for any dissent. That's how it works. You need to flip the middle finger at them and tell them to go screw. This has nothing to do with racism.
Alex joined them this weekend. He just joined that side of things.
I know.
Thanks, Alex.
it's too bad. And again, I know he needs the job. He needs
to grow
the
up.
paycheck. He needs the paycheck. He doesn't want to wait tables. Do you want to wait tables?
I was just using that as an example. He could get any job, make more money than he is making right now, and write on his own Substack, create his own platform.
I think he had his own Substack. You know what? He's a gay.
No one's reading his columns anyway.
He's a gay liberal who is young, and he's a really good writer, and the Globe won't touch him because, you know, they associate him with us, with me and Kirk. And so they don't, I mean, the only gay liberal, really good writer the Globe wants no part of. Right. You know, it's amazing. He's already, you know, got the scarlet letter. He doesn't want to lose this job. There's not that many opportunities out there. So I understand, but you don't have to push this narrative. I mean, you don't have to fall in the trap and say, oh, why did he have to do that? Simple. It's his job. All right. Enough of that. Zolak survived. I'm happy about that. We'll see how, although, you know, you never know. You never know. Maybe today he steps in it again, and maybe the Globe finally realizes, you know, they look ridiculous by covering up for one station and attacking the other, and they write about it, and things snowball, and he ends up in trouble. But I hope not. But we shall leave it there, Carano. I had a lot more to get to, but we don't have time. We could do it tomorrow.
Sure.
Anything else?
That's it.
Anything else? Thanks to everybody for listening and watching and commenting. That's keeping Carano busy. He's not listening to me. He's reading all the comments.
I can do multi things, all these things at once.
You can attack my friend Alex Reamer. You can read the comments.
I'm surprised. I feel like he's getting off easy, but that's good. I'm good.
Getting off easy. You just rip him a new one.
Oh, come on and talk about that.
No, he won't. He says, no, he'll pass. I'll read you the text.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to hear it.
He says, I'm going to pass. Playing it safe. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. You are playing it safe.
He is playing it safe. He admits
with
it.
that column too.
He admits it. But that's just liberal, you know, gobbledygook. That's all that is. And that's what you do when you're a good liberal. You fall into that trap. You know what? Just say it's not about race, period. Zolak was doing his job, period. Go screw. That's how you should leave it. And that's how we're going to leave it. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Show, and we will do it again tomorrow.